The world's a dangerous place. Get the industry's original and most trusted laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. A laser and light systems will enhance your effectiveness and help keep you and your family out of harm's way.
I'm a gun owner.
Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk.
I don't think that guns are scary things.
Visit us online at www.guntalk.com. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN, 866-825-5486. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, back to Gun Talk.
Oh, man, we are having some fun today. Talking about guns, having a bunch of fun. I'm Tom Gresham. If you've just stumbled upon this show and you said, what? Did he say Gun Talk? There's actually a show about guns on the radio. You betcha. 20 years we've been here. Glad that you could join us. You know what? We're not the black helicopter guys. We're not broadcasting from the bunker. We're just the guys and the gals who like to shoot, enjoy our guns, enjoy competition, enjoy collecting. And yes, we do have guns for self-defense. We're the responsible ones. You know what we are? We're the ones you never hear about. We're the ones that are not in the papers. We're the 100 million gun owners who do it right. And the reason you don't hear about us is because we're not misbehaving. We are being basically just what we are, which is responsible people. I'm so glad that you could be with us. By the way, just added Monster Station in Boston. We've got also Hattiesburg, Fleming, Colorado. In Boston, WRKO, 680 AM. We just got an email. Love this one from Roy. It says, I'm listening to your show and enjoying the news of Gun Talk expanding into places like Chicago and Boston with huge blowtorch radio stations. Congratulations. When you finally take over the world and establish the Gun Talk empire, can I have some consideration to become your first minister of fine cigars and whiskeys? Absolutely, Roy. The line starts right there. You're first in line. Glad for that consideration. Yeah, we're having a ball here. One of the things we love doing here is bringing in our friends and basically shooting the breeze about guns. And it's a real pleasure to be able to do that now. We're bringing in my friend Juli Brayton from Troy Industries. Hey, Juli, how are you?
Well, good afternoon, Tom. How are you today?
I am great. It's good to see you at SHOT Show.
It was wonderful to see you as well. And before we go any further, congratulations on RKO. RKO is just a staple in Massachusetts radio. So I want to extend to you a wicked warm Massachusetts welcome and congratulations on RKO. Oh, and yeah, by the way, it's 23 degrees, so that's about as wicked warm as you're going to get from Massachusetts today.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Well, I appreciate the warm welcome from 23 degrees. Holy cow. Now, you and I have known each other a long time. Before we even get to Troy, I have to mention, I was just on a website and I was looking at some stats here on women shooting, girl power and shooting, and they're comparing some numbers from like 2001 versus now, and the percentage of women shooters going up. It's just crazy. It's gone like from hunters, 1.8 million to 3.3 million for competitive shooters, target shooters, 3.3 million to 5.4 million, 60% increase. Women have just gotten into shooting, haven't they?
It's wonderful that women have finally recognized and embraced the fun and the competitiveness of not only sport shooting, but in also stepping up for their own personal protection as well as their family.
Well, you handed me off the perfect segue because they interviewed women. They said, why do you own a gun? And number one reason is self and home defense. Number two is hunting, and number three is to go out shooting with friends and family. But self-protection is number one, as it has actually. That's true for everybody. So I put it this way, Juli. I'd love to get your take on it. I've said after a while, women got tired of being patted on the head and told, "There, little lady, don't you worry about it. We're going to take care of you."
Well, I'm absolute and total agreement with you on that. We also are much more involved and out and about doing things without our man by our side to protect us. So if there's not our bodyguard, our guardian, we have to take care of ourselves. And, I think there have been just some tremendous voices for women in our industry. And for me, Juli is always my first and foremost. I had the pleasure of working with Juli for years at Smith & Wesson. And just what she was able to do and push through her social media channels and talk to women and young women shooters and just demystify it and make it accessible and fun. And I've always found her to be an inspiration.
Well, Juli is wonderful because, one of the things she does, we may take it for granted, but it's pretty special, is, yes, she is a top competitive shooter. She beats everybody pretty much. There's really only a handful of people in the world, men or women, who can beat her. And not every day. She'll beat them on some days. But when you go to her blog, you look at her Facebook page, yes, she's a shooter. Yes, she's a hunter. But also you got pictures of her kids. You got pictures of, she is the all-round woman. She's a working mother. She is a competitive shooter. She's involved in her kids' activities. She's everybody's mom, friend, girlfriend, wife, mother. And she wraps it all up in this package and you just go. And the other part is when you get to know her, she's just like one of the finest people you know, isn't she?
Absolutely. Oh, and don't forget veteran.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Army Marksmanship Unit. Exactly right. So thank you for that. Army veteran. Exactly right. All right. Now, I wanted to get you on here because we're talking Massachusetts right now. And, of course, you have been in Massachusetts for years. You understand the lay of the land there. And now with Troy Industries, which, by the way, if you want to look at the website while we're talking, everybody, it's troyind.com. You might give us just a little background because this is a Massachusetts-based company making products for the firearms industry.
Absolutely. And we have been for 13 years now and always based in Massachusetts. Steve Troy started out in 2003 with his signature product, which is our folding battle sight. So it's a backup iron sight that would fold and snap and stay in place. And that came as a result of his work both as a law officer. He was a Massachusetts state trooper. He's retired now, as well as the time that he spent in the Air Force, and recognized the need to build a better mousetrap, so to speak, and went from graph paper design to his first production model in a couple of months. And 13 years later, it is still the industry standard for backup folding sights.
So when you have your optic on there, whether it be scope or scope or red dot or whatever, you still want to have iron sights. And I'm always amazed at people that don't, because I'm thinking, what are you going to do if your optic fails? Now, yes, optics are great these days, but everything can fail. With the folding iron sights that you get from Troy, you literally push a button or flip them up, and bang, you've got sights ready to go.
Absolutely. So we started with sights, and then we moved into rails and stocks and grips, and really became known as a preeminent accessory maker. We're also a government contractor, so we had orders coming in for special ops and other groups that whose letters we don't put out there, and 3-letter groups, yes. And then 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, we launched Troy Defense. It got to the point that we were basically manufacturing everything that you needed to accessorize your rifle or carbine, and it was like, well, maybe we should just build the full guns ourselves. So Troy Defense was launched, and we have a narrow focus on our rifles and carbines, 5.56, 7.62, but definitely the real high end used for law enforcement, for military, for your serious professional or civilian shooter.
Absolutely. And as I've cruised through here, you have this folding collapsible, I don't even know what you call it, the stock you've got, that was M7A1. I want one. That is so cool.
All right. Well, that was the PDW, the M7A1 PDW was without question the belle of the ball at SHOT Show for us. We had several of them on the show floor, and they were always in someone's hands. The PDW stock kit itself is just a machining marvel. It collapses down into about a 3-inch footprint and then extends 6 positions. So you get, and it's instant too. It's so smooth when it deploys and it locks into position, especially when you use it with a sling. It's a perfect application for like a protective service or for a truck, something of that nature.
Truck gun, or even for home defense. If you want to move around, keep it collapsed, you can do it that way. You can pop it back out. I want to mention one thing that people can't see on the website, and they can't see it when we talk about it. One of the things about Troy products, and this is me talking, this is not you selling them, is that they're machined like they're a Mercedes or something. They're so finely made. We're not talking, knockoff stuff or cheap stuff. This is the good stuff. This is the kind of stuff, well, frankly, it's the kind of stuff you bet your life on because people are doing that every day.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And that comes directly from Steve Troy. He will come right out and say, my name is on everything that we build. Mm-hmm. And as such, when you purchase something from Troy, you're taking Steve Troy's integrity and the highest possible standards and levels of quality that he demands. And it's one of the reasons that it's such a joy to work with him as well, because second best is never good enough.
There you go. For more information, it's troyind.com, and you have all the new stuff up there. And knowing you guys, there's other things in the pipeline you haven't told us about yet.
It's funny. We launched over 35 new products at SHOT Show, and wow. It's funny. I was reading some of the press releases and some of the social media, and it was like, there wasn't a lot that came out at SHOT Show this year, and I was like, oh. You needed to come by our booth. We had new rails. We had new sights. We had new guns. We had 6 new muzzle devices. We launched a full suppressor line. We've been in the suppressor business for 2.5 years, but not at the civilian market level. Okay. We rolled suppressors at SHOT Show in all the pistol calibers as well as 5.56 and 7.62, QDs and screw-ons. So there was so much that was going on, and yes, the R&D pipeline is always cranking at Troy, always.
I understand. Julie, thank you for spending time with us. See, this wasn't so bad, was it?
Oh, no, Tom, it was wonderful. Thank you, and I hope we get a chance to talk again.
We will do that. Listen, you take care. Julie Brayton from Troy Industries, a Massachusetts-based company making stuff for gun makers, gun owners, special forces, military. Cool outfit, really. Seriously, good stuff. TroyInd.com. All right, open lines. Give me a holler. 866-TALK-GUN. That'll get you in here. 866-TALK-GUN.
At Double Tap Ammunition, we hand inspect every round that we make, and we use only the best components to give you the best ammunition on the market. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
Looking for shooting instruction but don't know where to go? Well, we have it, and you can access hours of training and safety videos, which you can watch on your home computer. On GunTalkTV.com, we have top competitive shooters, the best in self-defense trainers, and folks who have hunted all over the world, helping you learn which gun to buy, how to use it, how to store it safely, and everything else you need to be a safe and competent shooter. We also have gun makers showing off their newest rifles, shotguns, and handguns. Doesn't matter if you're a veteran shooter or a complete beginner, you'll find what you need at GunTalkTV.com. You can check it out for free, and you can get full access for only $5.95 a month. That gives you unlimited access to hundreds of videos, and we're adding more all the time. Run the videos over and over to make sure you understand what's being said. Skip around. You're in control. Get smarter. Shoot better. Visit GunTalkTV.com.
Brownells proudly celebrates 75 years of history and heritage as the world's first choice for firearms, accessories, ammunition, and gunsmithing tools. So whether you're a gunsmith in need of parts and supplies, a new shooter looking for the perfect holster, or a skilled competitor seeking the latest gear, Brownells has what you need. And best of all, every purchase comes with the industry's only forever satisfaction guarantee. Visit us at Brownells.com.
Accurate, powerful, consistent. At Double Tap Ammunition, we offer 364 loads in 83 calibers that give you exactly what you've been looking for. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
Tom Gresham here. We're going to go straight to the phones. Line 4, Jeff's with us out of Aztec, New Mexico. Hey, Jeff, you're on Gun Talk.
Tom, how are you today?
I am delightful. I am just so glad to be here. I love doing this.
Well, I feel sorry for that gal up there in Massachusetts. We're toughing it out over here at 65 degrees today. Bright sunshine, blue sky, and it's just perfect outside.
Well, just wait a week. You'll be freezing too. So it's, we're all sharing this at times. So how can I help you today?
I wanted to get your thoughts on an Osprey Global.
The scopes.
The scopes.
Do you have one?
Yes, I do. I have the 3-9 40.
Well, since you have one, why don't you tell me about it? I don't have one, so you can fill me in. What do you think?
Oh, well, we purchased that at a gun show that we had up here a couple of weeks ago. They're not real cheap, but they're not real expensive. And I seem to like it real well. We finally got her sighted in there at 100 yards, and it seems to work real good. It has a variety of... it's a mil-dot scope. It carries 3 different colors, both the green, the red, and the blue, in 3 different light stages.
So it's an illuminated reticle?
It's illuminated reticle if you want it.
Okay. All right, let me ask you a question, because I'm looking them up right now online. Looks like, okay. What'd you pay, about $350 ballpark?
200 on this 3-9, and it's on a Bushmaster Carbon 15.
Mm-hmm. Was it the price that attracted you to that? Because obviously there are other brands that the brand name better that might be a little more expensive. What was it that made you decide to go with the Osprey?
Well, their people down there were the people that were at the booth were very knowledgeable about a lot of things, and I was extremely impressed with that. But actually, looking through the scopes, I think there's a UTG, I believe it is, and there's a lot of scopes that are underpriced, that fall underneath that $200 series. Mm-hmm. But this 40 millimeter scope seemed to just open up the world to it when you was looking at it.
Okay, well, look, I appreciate the range report. That's one I have not had a chance to use, so I always like hearing about products I haven't had a chance to... Look, none of us can use all of them, so that's great. Thank you for that call, sir, and thank you for the range report. I want to talk to Paul on line 3. He's in Victor, California. Hello, Paul, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom. I was just wondering if it is possible for private citizens to sell their reloaded ammo.
Yes, sure, you can. You kind of, at a certain point, and the problem is none of us knows where that point is, you start getting into becoming a commercial manufacturer, at which point you need some licenses to do that. There's one other thing I would throw out here, and that is when you start selling reloads, you risk everything you own. Because if somebody uses your reload and gets hurt with it, whether or not it's your fault, They have the ability to come take your car, your house, and every dime you own. So, what's it worth to you to put all that at risk? Or can you get insurance that will cover all of that? I'm just throwing these thoughts out to you because that's the real world, especially in California. What do you think? Paul? All right, I guess he went away. All right, I'll tell you what, let's go down to Roy in line 2. And look, for those who understand what I'm talking about, you sell ammo to somebody and they do something stupid and blow up their gun and they blame you, and the court says, well, you're only 50% responsible, but they'll take 100% of what you own. And I'm talking about everything, your house, your car, your bank accounts, everything. Never thought of that. Yeah, well, that's why I'm here. I help you think of things like that. Roy's on line 2 out of Waterville, Ohio. Hey, Roy.
Hey, man. Listen, appreciate all you do. Listen, I was having trouble with my Stitcher on my phone one day when I was trying to listen to a podcast. So I thought, well, I can't get Gun Talk. Let me get some of these other gun-related broadcasts. And I cannot tell you how terrible they were in regards to Gun Talk with their profanity and the situational things they came up with. I just want to commend you on your ethics and broadcasting standards. You are the best. That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Wow. Well, that's very kind of you. And yeah, there's no need for profanity. I mean, honestly, when you think about it, and I get into the habit like a lot of us, I have to work on my way out of it. You're just talking. It's so easy. And the thing is, it's everywhere. Profanity is everywhere. Movies, TV, everywhere. And every once in a while you got to say, okay, stop. Don't do that. Don't fall into that habit. Don't do that. But no, on the air, forget it. No, we're not going to do that. That's just not what we do. I try not to do it in my personal life. I'm certainly not going to do it here. 866-TALK-GUN. When we come back, gun rights. How effective can a state organization be?
One of Talker Magazine's 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. You're listening to Gun Talk, heard every week at this time on great radio stations across America. Stay tuned. Gun Talk is coming right back. Covering all aspects of gun ownership every week on this fine radio station. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right, welcome back to Gun Talk. Tom Gresham here. If you'd like more information on what we do, go to guntalk.com. Also our YouTube channel, YouTube Gun Talk TV on YouTube. Well, we just posted a video. You do not want to watch this video while you're drinking any form of liquid unless you like to blow stuff out of your nose. This is outrageously funny. Rob Latham. If you go to Gun Talk TV on YouTube, look at the newest video posted there. Rob Latham does Diamond Dave's Ninja School. Of course, Rob Latham is the 40 billion time national world champion shooter. And probably if you're a guy, you've seen the Diamond Dave Ninja School YouTube video. If you're a woman, chances are you may not have. Showed it to my wife. She says, that is such a guy thing. Yes, it is. That's why we like this stuff. It's stupid beyond belief. But when Rob Latham does it, it is outrageously funny. Check it out on our YouTube channel. Go to Gun Talk TV on YouTube. And Rob Latham does Diamond Dave's Ninja School. We're talking today about, we just have moved Gun Talk. It keeps growing across the country. We're just about to hit 20 years on the air. And now we're in the Boston market, actually the whole New England market on WRKO, 680 AM, big station, in an important part of the world. And I wanted to talk about what's going on in Massachusetts and the value of all of this. And no one better to talk to about this than Jim Wallace. He's the executive director of the Gun Owners Action League in Massachusetts. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, Tom. Good to talk to you again. It's been a little while.
Yes, indeed. For those who don't know, explain the history, how long you guys have been around, and what GOAL does.
Sure. GOAL was actually established in 1974, and there was a ballot question in Massachusetts to ban handguns at the time. I believe it was question 5 on our ballot here in the state. And an organization was rallied up to basically fight that ballot question, and they were successful. And at that point, everybody figured that it was probably a good idea if we had a full-time organization in Massachusetts to watch out for the gun rights of lawful citizens. And thankfully, we did that. 40 years later, we're still here. We're very strong. We have just over 15,000 members in the state of Massachusetts. We have a full-time staff of 5. Unfortunately, I get to do the lobbying part, but, everybody has their cross to bear. But we have a full-time trainer, we have a full-time communication manager, and a couple of ladies that kind of herd the cats at the office and make everything happen. So it's been something else, especially in the last couple of years. Boy, it's been a fight up here in Massachusetts, I'm sure as you've seen across the country. And, thankfully here in Massachusetts, we had GOAL in place, because those states that had to actually create an organization and then start the fight, boy, they were behind the 8 ball. And
that's one of the things. That's one of the things I want. That's one of the things I wanted you to address. Is the point here is you do not want to wait till there's a crisis to create your organization. You don't want to wait till there's a crisis to go introduce yourself to legislators, because they're going to go, we don't know you and we don't owe you anything.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, you saw some of the states around the country that suddenly, number one, they tried to get an organization up and running. And, normally the ones that I saw, too, it would be 3 or 4 organizations that said, no, we're going to do this. No, we're going to do this. And, before you know it, they spent so much time, number one, arguing over who was going to be the local, the lead organization, and number 2, how they were even going to go about this. That the fight was over before they even got up and running. And it is very important to make sure you have not only an organization in place, but a solid organization with a solid reputation, both with the legislature, your members, the media, and, you harp on that all the time, and it's very important, especially if you don't even know the first thing about communicating with the media, and you're just trying to get an organization running. Oh, there's so much work to be done. You literally don't stand a chance.
You really don't, and you're not going to be able to fight these things if you're trying to create a group in the middle of the crisis. So give us an idea of, I know there are people who say, well, God, with 40 years, you guys would have just stomped out all the gun control efforts there, and nobody's coming at you anymore, right?
Yeah, we wish. The reason we put the organization in place was because we knew what was coming at us. Massachusetts was changing politically. The birthplace of freedom here at the Concord Bridge, for some reason, had really turned around. And, it's one of those things that over the course of history, especially after World War II, if you use those kind of things as a history marker, there were a lot of sportsmen that came about, and that's when most of the gun clubs were created. But for the most part, they weren't political, and they wanted to get away from things, and that's what they wanted to do, is go hunting and shooting and whatever and fishing. And they never thought of it as a political deal. And unfortunately, that came to hurt us, because they just wanted to be left alone. They figured everybody else would leave them alone, and that just wasn't the case. And we became a target, probably in the 70s, certainly in the 80s, and then in the 90s. But unfortunately, after the Newtown murders, we really became targets. But GOAL was ready for it. Some of my colleagues around the country, and especially those that were just getting started, had no idea what to do in the media, and they started to turtle up because they didn't want to face it. And gun owners actually took the absolute opposite approach from day one. We took advantage of every microphone that was put in front of us, every pen and paper that the print media wanted to put in front of us. And I think my staff told me between the day of the murders and March 1st, we did over 150 interviews, because we used it. We were ready to get our message out, our pro message out about our members and what we stand for. And, boy, that paid off in the long run.
Absolutely. Jim, hold on just a second here. I want to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about what Goal has done there, what you've learned there, is so important everywhere. And I'm talking about people who say, well, we're not going to have a problem with that. That's not coming to our state. Really? I mean, states like Nevada and Arizona where, of course, those are western states. Nobody would come there, except that those are the two states that Bloomberg has just targeted to push their bogus universal background check, which is really just gun registration. Arizona and Nevada, two states you would think, not a problem. If you do not have this kind of a group in your state, you need to listen to this. We'll be right back talking with Jim Wallace from the Gun Owners Action League in Massachusetts. I'm Tom Gresham, and this is Gun Talk.
TopGunSupply.com carries a large selection of fine firearms and accessories. Get all the parts you need for your Sig Sauer, HK, and Glock pistols. Grips, screws, recoil springs, sights, barrels, magazines, holsters. The list goes on. Our knowledgeable sales staff, professional service, great prices, and super fast shipping are here to help you. Check us out today. TopGunSupply.com. TopGunSupply.com.
The .45 Auto, also known as the 1911, is the standard other defensive pistols are measured against. No matter what pistol you carry, techniques developed around the 1911 are vital. You know you need training, and you know your concealed carry class definitely was not training. Now Gun Talk presents an exciting DVD, Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. Tiger's unique training style will have you drawing, moving, shooting, and running your gun better, no matter what style pistol you prefer. At ShopGunTalk.com, you can order our DVDs of Tiger's instruction. ShopGunTalk.com also has a 2-DVD set, including Concealed Carry 1. Get both for the information you know you need. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com has DVDs, books, and other essential gear. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
There's a rise in home invasions in America, and you need to be ready. Ready to protect yourself and your family. The Bedside Backup from Crossbreed Holsters keeps your gun at your bedside, ready to go. It also folds flat for easy storage and travel. Take it with you and use with any hotel bed. To see more, go to crossbreedholsters.com. That's crossbreedholsters.com. The Bedside Backup is not a child safety device.
Back with you, Tom Gresham, 866 Talk Gun. We're talking with Jim Wallace. He's the executive director of the Gun Owners Action League, the state gun rights organization in Massachusetts. Now, Jim, you are the lobbyist, and I guess that's one of the points I wanted to make is when you have a state organization, you need a lobbyist. You need to have somebody who the legislators know on site. They know that person, man or woman, and you're not having to introduce yourself each time, right?
Correct. I mean, I've been doing this since December of 2000. For Gun Owners Action League, and it takes a long time to build a reputation. But I got to tell people, when I go around speaking, and I even speak at colleges now about how to be a good advocate, if you lose your reputation, if you get caught lying to people in the State House or putting up phony whatever, you will lose your reputation so fast it'll make your head spin, and then you become useless in the State House because nobody's going to want to talk to you. One of the things that really benefited us this year, this past year's fight, was that Goal had really created a good reputation, even with people who didn't agree with us. So when the you-know-what hit the fan, we were invited into the table to make sure that, our members were being watched out for, but also a lot of times they had problems that they couldn't solve or come up with solutions. And they came to us and said, hey, Jim, this is what we're trying to solve. What are your ideas? What do you think we should do? And we were able to provide them with a lot of good, positive potential programs or situations that didn't affect our members but would go after the human criminal element, and it was because we were at the table we were able to get those things done. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we proposed and was accepted by the Speaker was we called it the Criminal Firearms and Trafficking Division of the State Police. And it would be their job to work with all the district attorneys around the state to actually find out where the illegal guns are coming from, where the drugs are coming from, to build common denominators. Because if you got one small tactical unit working on that, they're going to quickly find out where they're coming from, because we know they're not coming from gun shows. So where are they coming from? And this unit was actually put in place. So it's things like that we were able to do because we were at the table.
Well, what you're describing is the reason, and this goes back to time, the reason you were invited to be at the table is because of trust. They called you and said, hey, we need some help with this, and they only did that because they trust you, and the only way to build up trust is to spend time with somebody over the months, over the years, where they get to know you're a straight shooter, even if, and Jim, you can address this, sometimes you got to say something, you say, okay, this is not, great for us, but I'm going to be straight with you on everything. That's what you have to do sometimes.
Yeah. And also you have to be adult enough to tell them, I honestly don't have an answer to that, but let me see if I can figure one out for you. You don't have to be the man who knows everything. One of the best pieces of advice when I took this job years ago from a businessman, he said, listen, you don't have to know everything, but you should know the people who know those answers. And his advice was, the guy who runs Wonder Bread probably couldn't bake a loaf of bread to save his life, but in 5 minutes he can have you talking to everybody that knows everything about it. And that's what you need to be as well.
There you go. Let me ask you a quick question here before I have to run. If somebody is involved in a state organization, either that's existing or they're trying to get something cranked up, could they call you and ask you for tips or advice?
Yeah, I already done it with a couple of organizations that just starting to get going. And quite often, the funny thing is, Tom, one of the toughest things they try to overcome is who's going to be your first full-time employee, when they start raising enough money to do that. And there's a lot of thought that needs to go into it. Should it be a lobbyist? Should it be the executive director? Should it be the person who does all the membership for you? So absolutely be glad to. There's been occasions where I've actually gone out to these organizations and spent some time with them, done some video conference with them. We're all in this fight together, and people should learn from other people's mistakes, but also other people's successes, so they don't have to go through the same thing that we went through in our building process.
Perfect. And they can get more information at your website, GOAL, that's GOAL.org.
Correct. Yep, absolutely.
Right. Jim, thank you so much, Jim. Keep us posted on what's going on up there, okay?
All right, Tom. Good to talk to you.
All right, you take care. Jim Wallace from the Gun Owners Action League, one of the original state gun rights groups. Let me run to the phone here. Line 3, Russell is in Wichita, Kansas. Hey, Russell, you're on Gun Talk.
Okay, well, thank you for taking my call. I just remember that on one of your previous shows, you talked to someone, and I think it was from Precision Shooting Magazine, and they were talking about a product that was really good for long-time preservation of guns, and I couldn't get the name of the stuff, and I think somebody said that it could come from a place like Tractor Supply, and the stuff had lanolin in it, but I went to Tractor Supply, and I could not find any product that had lanolin in it.
Yeah, it's weird. I remember the conversation, but I don't remember the product they were talking about. Now, I got to tell you, there are some real nice products available for long-term storage of guns over on Brownell's website, Brownell, BROWNELLS, brownells.com. And if you just go to their lubricants and rust preventatives, and they've got a whole bunch of those there. And so I end up going there. I'm generally not a fan of going outside of the gun world to find products to put on my guns. I know a lot of people say, well, they use this on tractors, so I'm going to put it on my gun. Well, yeah, but a gun's not a tractor. So anyway, but I would say, Russell, I don't know I can't remember what it was, but check out Brownells, look for those products. We just were talking with the guys over at Slip 2000. They make a lot of really good gun lubricants and metal protectants, and I was very impressed with what they're doing. So that's another brand you may want to check out what's going on there. Don't have time to get them in right now. When we come back, we're going to talk with John, Jeff, Robert. We'll try to get you all in. Let's talk a little bit about recoil. Managing recoil. Sometimes if you have a heavy-kicking rifle, it's not a case of doing something to the rifle, but it's more a case of doing something with the shooting technique or what you're doing to make it essentially stop hurting you. Now, there's some other options out there. We can talk about that. A lot of people have issues with recoil, whether they admit it or not. And if you can reduce the recoil, I'll guarantee you'll end up shooting better.
Gun Talk stands for safety, personal responsibility, and common courtesy. To be a part of the show, call 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Gun Talk will be right back.
All righty, welcome back to Gun Talk, 866-TALK-GUN. I want to start with John on line 2. He's in Portland, Oregon. John, you got you a big kicker there, huh?
Well, a 375 H&H, and well, I bought it back in 2003, and it wasn't too bad. I was in my 40s, and it was, I could handle it fine, but I'm going to be 60 this year, Tom, and getting to be a little bit much for me, so I went out and bought a Blackhawk Knox Axiom thumbhole stock, and I've been looking for a thumbhole stock for a long time. And when I saw this, it's pillar bedded, and it's. I talked to a couple of companies about it, and they recommended it. And I haven't shot the rifle yet with it, but I'm just wondering what your opinion on that. On the stock is.
I don't really have an opinion on the stock. I do want to talk a little bit about how do you shoot that rifle most of the time? You shooting it from a bench?
No, I try to shoot a little prone, a little sitting, and when I never shoot from a bench. I always shoot out in the wilderness, and I usually will find a big log, some with 3 or 4 foot diameter, and then kneel down and use the log, which would be about the same as a bench, but I very rarely go to a range.
All right, here's where I'm going with this. Shooting from a bench with a big kicking rifle can really hurt you because you're leaning into the stock. Shooting prone is even worse because there's just no give. All it's going to do is come back and whack you. Shooting standing up off of sticks really does help reduce the recoil because you're kind of giving with it. The stock may help. First of all, real quick, yes or no question. Do you hunt with this rifle or do you just shoot it at the range?
Oh, no, I'm planning a trip. I'm hunting with it. I'm planning a trip to... the reason I bought it was to go out to Alaska and go after moose in Alaska and maybe bear if I get lucky.
Okay. Stock, no stock. I personally am not a fan of thumbhole stocks, but you may like that. Here's what I would consider doing. If you want to shoot it a lot, put a muzzle brake on it. It will reduce the recoil down to easily 300 Magnum, maybe 7 mag levels. But make sure, and here's the real critical part, don't hunt with the muzzle brake. You won't need it. You won't feel the recoil when you're shooting at a bear or an elk or whatever. But do all your practice with the muzzle brake because it will greatly reduce the recoil. And then unscrew that and then screw on a thread protector when you go hunting. I think that's going to be the solution for you. I've done that with some heavy kicking rifles, and it just works great.
I see. Okay. So what is it you don't like about the Blackhawk stock?
Not that I don't like the Blackhawk stock. I don't like any thumbhole stock. They don't fit my eye. When I look at them, I just don't. And other people love them. They fall in love and they love the looks of them. I'm just not a fan of how they set up. I don't like the feel of them when I'm shooting them offhand or off of benches. I just think that a regular stock, a classic Leonard Brownell type stock, the kind of stocks that are on a Ruger Model 77, I just think that those are designed for shooting better. But again, that's personal preference. You like them, I don't like them. People like laminated. Some people like composite. Some people like wood. It's all good, whatever you like. But in terms of reducing recoil, I don't think it's going to do anything for you there. I think the muzzle brake is going to be the key there. Get a muzzle brake, practice with the muzzle brake, take it off when you hunt. Here's the reason. Muzzle brakes are very, very loud, and I don't want to hunt with one. I don't want to be with somebody who has a muzzle brake when they're shooting them, because if I'm not wearing shooting or hearing protection, and I'm not going to be wearing hearing protection when I'm hunting, I don't want to be anywhere near a big rifle going off with a muzzle brake. So take it off when you go hunting, Use it at the range. It'll help you be a better shooter. It'll certainly make range shooting and practice a lot more comfortable. So that would be my suggestion. At least that's what I've done on my big Magnum guns. Some of them, when I'm smart enough. Be right back.
No black helicopters here, just the facts about gun rights and gun ownership. This is Gun Talk.